Good morning or good afternoon to SMS. My name is Jordan Barnett, and this is Mr. Kachara. We're doing a Veterans Day interview. Starting off, how long did you serve in the military?
I've been in the military for about 10 years, Jordan.
Huh. What branch or branches did you serve?
I currently serve in the Army Reserve.
What was your favorite part of serving?
My favorite part of serving was working with all the different diverse groups of soldiers and meeting so many people of different cultures. It's really cool because even though we're all wearing the same uniform and we all got the same job in the military, everybody does something different because of their culture. Like I've said before to some of my other students, you can have a unit from Texas, from California, and Pennsylvania. They all got the same mission, but they'll all do it a little bit differently because of their culture.
Where were you deployed?
I was deployed to Iraq, Syria, and Kuwait. I went all around the Middle East.
Why did you start serving?
I started serving because my family has a long military tradition of serving, and I thought, I keep up with what all my relatives have been doing, and they all liked it for the most part. And I also didn't have a lot of money from college because I came from a lower middle-class family. So my parents said, if you want to go to college, you got to find a way to pay for it, and the military will do that.
What is ROTC, and how can students get involved?
ROTC stands for the Reserve Officer Training Corps, which basically means that when you go to college, so this is university, so this is like 8 years down the road for most of y'all, what you'll do is you'll go to school, and while you're doing your academics, you'll also be doing soldier things. So you'll be learning about the military, how to move soldiers, tactics, go through obstacle courses, fun stuff like that. It's basically, instead of being like a professional athlete in college, you're doing military stuff instead. And then when you graduate, you become out as a second lieutenant, which is an officer, which is like a manager in the military. And the best way I can say to get involved would be, if you want to do that, is start getting physically fit, working out, keep your grades up, make sure that you're paying attention in school and actually learning, and then make sure you start working on your attitude and maturing, because it's the military and you got to be disciplined.
Any advice for any... Nope. How was your normal life outside of the Army?
My normal life outside of the military, once I came back, I'll tell you, from Iraq, that was really different, because when you're on base, you're only with your soldiers, and you're kind of like a family, and even though, you're around a group of people, it's the same people every day, so imagine like never leaving your class.
Yeah.
And then you come back here, and it's really weird because you're around all these people you don't know. There's so many moving parts. Like, I know when I went to church when I came back, it was really, really weird for me to be sitting in there, plus the noise. It was very different.
Yeah. What was your ranking?
I am a captain.
And for any students that don't know their ranking, should you please explain for us?
Okay, so there's 3 different types of ranks in the military, or soldiers, I should say. So you've got your lower enlisted, and then after a while they become what are called NCOs, which I'll get to that in a second. You've got warrant officers, which these guys are like technical experts, and then you've got officers, which are your managers. So to put it into like Susquehanna terms, your lower enlisted would be like your school. They start off as like students, where they don't have a whole lot of responsibility, kind of like what you guys are doing now. And as you get older and as you start progressing, you start getting more and more responsibility. And then, I would look at your NCOs kind of like as your support staff here at the school, kind of like Mr. Swanson or something like that, where they're in charge of you and they do have a lot of responsibility, but it's not quite to the level of like, Mr. Evans or something like that. Then you've got your technical experts, which are your warrant officers, which that would be like Mr. Bishop or Mr. Shike or something like that, where their job is more to maintain something or to just be a technical expert, like computers or machines or something like that. And they're able to lead soldiers and stuff like that, but they're more about making things work and stuff like that. And then your last one, your officers, those are like your administrators, And to put where my rank falls in, like, I'm not super high like the superintendent or anything like that, but I'd be like where Mr. Evans is. Where you're in charge of a lot, but you're not at the top yet.
Okay. How long did you get used to military time, the 24-hour time?
Oh, it took me a long time to get used to that, because there's 24 hours a day, but there's only 12 hours on your Mickey Mouse watch.
Yeah. And lastly, for our interview, what was your favorite or your best memory of boot camp?
My best memory of boot camp probably involved my brother. So, for those of you that don't know, I'm a twin, and we both went to Fort Knox, Kentucky for basic training at the same time. And all of our drill sergeants, by the way, were Puerto Ricans. And for those of you that don't know, Puerto Rico, they speak English and Spanish. And what ended up happening was our drill sergeants, because they realized that most of us don't speak Spanish, they would speak in Spanish to make sure that we couldn't track what they're doing. Because at boot camp, they like to mess with you a lot. They like to test you and make sure, you know, that you're going to be a resilient person. They like to make you angry. And one of the ways that they do that is they'll come up with a task and they'll be very specific about it, and then they'll catch you in like a loophole or something like that. So like they'll say, hey, clean the barracks, but then they'll go and check one particular spot, like the window sill, and know that you didn't, you know, check there. Well, what happened was we had Spanish-speaking soldiers in our unit, and a lot of them were from like Puerto Rico or New Mexico, excuse me. And what they would do is they'd listen to the drill sergeants talking, and they figured it out because they speak Spanish. And the drill sergeants, like I said earlier, they'd go to like check the windowsill, and you know, they'd want to find dust, but then they'd be like, oh, there's no dust here. Why is that? Well, after a while, they caught on, and they figured out that the Spanish-speaking soldiers were listening to them, and they were letting everybody else know, hey, this is what's up, this is what's going to be happening. So in the middle of the night, jumping back to my fun story, in the middle of the night, they pull us all out, and they do what's called a smoke session. That's where they pull you all outside, they start screaming at you and making you do all sorts of crazy exercises, running, and it's not a fun time. Well, anyways, we're all outside, it's pitch black out at night, and we're doing push-ups. And my brother is a little bit further down the road than me, and his drill sergeant's walking down, he's screaming at us, and he gets to me. And he's like, who are you? What are you doing down here? And I'm like, I don't know. And he looks at me, he's like, what's your name? I'm like, Cochera. Cochera? And what had happened was, everybody that they called out in the middle of the night, so all their names were like Negron, De La Cruz, Juarez, Cochera. What happened here was they were all people that had Spanish last names, because the drill sergeant figured, okay, if somebody speaks Spanish, they gotta have a Spanish last name. Well, my last name in Spanish, and I'm not Spanish or Hispanic or anything like that, my last name in Spanish means spoon. So they looked at it and said, cuchara, which is a spoon. So they pulled me out because they thought that my brother and I both spoke Spanish, and that ain't the truth. So as soon as they saw us, and they're like, you speak Spanish? We're like, no! We're like, go back inside. So we ran in, all confused, because we didn't know what was going on. It wasn't until like 2 hours later when my buddies came in and they were covered in mud and sweaty. And I'm like, Negron, what happened? And he's like, the drill sergeants are the only ones that speak Spanish from now on. And that's probably my best memory, because they thought I could speak Spanish because of my last name. I didn't even know that was Spanish for spoon until afterward.
For spoon?
Yeah, for spoon.
Huh.
Yep.
All right, well, that's it for the Veterans Day interview. Please have a wonderful day.